Hi, this is Danny Hicks live from the California State Home for the Bewildered, and you had better be listening to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Welcome to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to Tim O and Harley Show. I am Tim O. Over there's my partner in Mindcrime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben Hempseed Harley.
That's me, my man.
Just plant you and you'll grow.
That's right. To a happy little chokeweed plant.
That's right. Happy little chokeweed. Exactly.
And you might attract a Sasquatch.
That's right. That's right. Let's see, going through a couple things here, Mr. Ben Harley. First up, I did talk last week about Miss Angie O, my beautiful wife, who's, as I call the matriarch of our show, just because when we get too screwed up at night, she guides us back to where her bed's where we need to be. Thank God she keeps guiding me back to the one that she sleeps in for me, at least. You know?
And she's the reason people approach our booth.
That's true. That's true. And want to talk or converse or anything around us. So, yes, so she has been diagnosed with cancer. Now, here's the bizarre and strange part. So I think the last show I said we were going to go figure out where the source of cancer is coming from.
Yeah.
No, we're not. Because, so we go into the meeting with the surgeon, the doctor, and he's just like, you are my problem patient. You are my mystery patient. And I looked up like, God, don't say that.
Oh, no.
And they couldn't find it. He did like 3 times the normal biopsies he would do in this situation. We are talking about the lady parts. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
And so that's where her cancer is supposedly originating from. They took biopsies up and down everywhere, tested this, tested that. Nothing. Yeah. All came back negative. So basically, they're still pretty sure because of the PET scan where things were lighting up, that's down her lady parts. So now she has to have this major hysterectomy next week in the space-time continuum. This week as you hear this. So if you try to get a hold of me and I am not available, there you go. I'm a little tied up right now. It's going to be like a 6-week recovery period after that. And what they're hoping that it's, I guess, in layman's terms, which is the only way I can think to begin with, is that when they scoop it out, they're going to take out the bad stuff. Even though they can't see it, they're pretty sure it's there. Yeah. And which is very, it's nerve wracking. It's nerve wracking because you want to find out once it's going on those lymph nodes, you want to find out what's feeding it and get the shit out, get it out.
Yes.
So that's what we're attempting to do. They're even taking her appendix out.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
They're gutting her. They're just taking everything out. So hopefully this will take it out, and then maybe they can figure it out and hopefully have some sort of
They're making her
therapy.
lean and mean is what you're saying, Tim.
I guess
they're going to make her lean and mean fight machine.
She's going to, I hope she doesn't get too mean.
No, we don't want that.
Yeah. So, but that's the update. So, I do believe next week, Mr. Ben Harley, will probably do a couple of shorter shows with maybe one official film. Yeah. So just kind of to all 4 of you who listen, brace yourselves for that. That's we might have a little bit of shorter shows.
Calm down, we'll be back.
We'll still be up, but it'll be a little bit shorter. And you'll probably get an update next week, and then there'll probably be a couple more weeks after that, if you are so curious or concerned. So, and for everyone too, we thank you for your concern. I did send a little note to a few friends trying to let people know because, Mr. Ben Harley, you'd be surprised to know our friends don't always listen to the show. Huh. What do you know?
Wait, what? Oh, man.
Well, let me tell you something. Huh? I've told this to bands before, too. If you depend on your friends to come see you for gigs, quit.
Quit now.
Yeah. You need to make friends that are people who like you to come see you. That's what Fragile Porcelain Mice did. Almost everybody comes and sees us. I did not know, before the band or whatever. So
make new friends.
Right, your friend. You can't depend on your friends. I mean, come on. How many people have put up a some kind of fund me or some bullshit or something like that, and crickets. Your friends are scurrying away to the hills, once things get tough, So, but anyway, thank you everyone for your thoughts, well wishes, and everything. And
she's a trooper, and
she
you guys
is
are gonna get through it. Yeah.
And
she's a kick-ass type of gal, and I know she's gonna kick ass with this too.
Right. And we're gonna work hard at it.
Doing the right things. Yeah.
We are. So let's hopefully everything has a good outcome. We are optimistic. So now with this,
we're pulling for it.
Well, thank you.
Us, me and the 4 fans here, right?
Except Charlie over there. He's kind of a surly one, right? So we don't know what that guy. Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, so she has to have this hysterectomy. That's a 6-week recovery. Yeah. Now that's tickling right up to Retro Invasion weekend, which is May 31st to June 2nd, and in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah,
our good pal.
Cleveland rocks.
That's right. Our good pal, Mr. Old School Cinema Joe, putting that show on. Going to have Joe Bob Briggs there. Going to have a couple people from Sleepaway Camp, Mr. Ben Harley, so you can actually have Felissa make the face for you, to freak you out.
I can handle that. I really don't think I can handle that. I just
this beautiful woman comes up to you, Mr. Ben Harley, in a nice little dress, and you're like, "Hello," and she makes that face. I just want to be there. I just want to be there.
I cringed the other day. I saw he posted something with Joe Bob Briggs, and then for some reason, just her face going like that. I was like, "Why, Joe? Why is that even there, man?" Oh God!
Right.
And I found myself under my desk, huddled.
Well, that'd be pretty creepy if you were huddled under your desk, though, and she reached over and looked at you and went, So we got, and Jonathan Tierston also, who met a couple times, going to be there. And Just One of the Guys reunion. Oh, man, Danny Hicks, our good friend, Mr. Danny Hicks. Mr. Ben Harley, I'd like to announce Danny Hicks. Now, we are assuming everything is going to be going forward as planned, okay? So as everything goes forward as planned and it goes good with Angie and stuff, Miss Senior Danny Hicks will be coming back to the St. Louis area with Angio and I, and we will have a Hicks season, Mr. Ben Harley.
Yes,
Hicks
season. We're due for a Hicks season.
We are due for a Hicks season.
The fans demand it.
That's right. That's right. So
how finicky our fans are.
Oh yeah. Well, at least half of them, those 2 over there. Yeah. So we'll be doing that. So we're looking forward to Retro Invasion weekend still.
Yes, sir.
Still going to be rocking and rolling that bizatch. Let's see here. And then also, Mr. Ben Harley, you've got a wrestling event on April 28th, which could be this weekend in the Space-Time Continuum. That's at St. Clements Hall. St. Clements Hall. You guys are wrestling. You're defending your belts?
Again, yes. Well, we were counted out last time. We went up against War Horse or Snore Horse or Boar Horse, whatever you want to call him.
Right.
Yeah, they what's his for the referee's name? Dan. Dan.
Dangerous Dan.
Dangerous Dan. Yeah. He I think he was counting a little fast that night, and we got counted out, Timo. But as you know, being a wrestling fan, you can't win the belt on a count out.
Right.
So old Snore Horse is going to get a second try, and I don't know if it's going to work out too well for him.
You guys are way too nice. Sign up that match. Way too nice. You did. I mean, you only really should get one shot.
That's
think
one
about
shot.
it. Here's the other thing too.
Right.
You might want to check and make sure that Dangerous Dan isn't having any money problems at home, because if his count is fast, he might be on the take.
Yeah, he looked like his wallet was a little heavy when he left that night.
Now, I mean, I'm not saying there's any funny business going on in the wrestling business.
I am.
Okay. But
in the wrestling business,
yeah. Okay, so St. Clements Hall, April 28th, the Potentate of Hate.
Yes, sir.
And
Potentate of Hate on the 28th.
Circus of Pain will be making their painful return, and the Circus of Pain will also be making a painful visit to Retro Invasion weekend. Also,
we will. We'll be raising pulses in Cleveland. Yes, sir.
So everybody needs to look forward to the Circus of Pain. Now, I mean, I am a lawyer in this world, so I don't want you to put me through a table or anything. And I also don't want you guys giving Danny Hicks a heart attack either. He's not getting younger, and he's fragile.
We're going to have to be on the other side of the convention hall, aren't we?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do well with that. So, and we know how much he loves things like pro wrestling and hockey, right?
Yeah, and clowns.
Yeah,
he
right.
hates clowns.
So you're pretty much the perfect trinity of what he can't stand in life, right there.
Yeah,
next to him.
Yeah.
So, and then what you need to do is also carry around a stuffed ice cream bunny, just to put the feather in the cap. Right. Yeah. So, right. So we got some rough waters ahead, Mr. Ben Harley, but we also have some glimmers of light ahead too with a Hicks season, and we got some wrestling, and we got a retro invasion weekend. So we're pulling it together, Mr. Ben Harley.
We're pulling it together.
Buddy. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because we're troopers, and you can't keep us down, Timo.
That's right. Just like a David Hasselhoff pinup. I don't know what the hell that means, but it works. It works, my friend. So let me get you to some stuff that Angie and I watched, or I just watched this past weekend.
From
1940, Mr. Ben Harley watched Night Train to Munich, which is a really cool like espionage World War II type of movie with Rex Harrison in it. So very, very good.
Rex Harrison.
Yes. So we just had a good time watching that. That's a good gold classic movie. Let's see here. Another movie I watched, Mr. Ben Harley, from 2018. This is a new one now. And this one had a little bit of...
Wait a second.
Yeah, and it also had some clout to it because I do believe there's some Academy Awards being thrown around this movie. Did watch 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. That's what it's called. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, with Frances McDormand in it, Woody Harrelson, Sam Rockwell, John Hawkes, Peter Dinklage is even in it. The little feller. Yeah, he's a good actor. Good actor. So he's in it too. This movie had a lot of heat to it. It's an interesting movie about a woman, Frances McDormand. One of her kids was raped and murdered. And so she put up billboards asking the cops while they haven't found.
What? Yeah.
Yeah. And Woody Harrelson. It was kind of hard for me to watch, Mr. Ben Harley. I did not expect this going into it, but Woody Harrelson is dying of cancer. So there was a little bit, you kind of just don't want to, surround yourself any more than you have to.
No.
But oddly enough, this movie is pretty funny. Intentionally funny. Yeah, it's intentionally funny. So there's some hard topics in it, hard moments. But it is fairly funny. And Frances McDormand is like a badass mom.
Okay.
Try to push her around, right? Put it this way. She lights a police station on fire with Molotov cocktails. Okay. Because she's slightly irritated at them. Yes. So,
I think so.
Yeah. So, but it's it's a cool movie. I think Sam Rockwell might have won an Academy Award, and Frances McDormand might have also for it.
I think so.
Yeah, but it is a good movie. I would suggest watching it. It is pretty funny, even though there's a lot of hard themes in it and things like that. Not too bad though. Not too bad. It's okay. Let's see. Went back and watched a few movies, Mr. Ben Harley. Let's see. From 1983. We've talked about this before. I want you to write this down. You got a pen?
Yeah.
All right, write this down.
Wait.
Two things I want you to write down. But first up, I'm going to
write it in red.
Okay, you're going to write it in? All right. Yep. Starflight 1. You probably saw this movie. I'm just having you write it down because it is on Prime. I want you to go back and watch it. Starflight 1.
1, okay.
O-N-E. Starflight 1. Okay, so from 1983, made for TV movie starring Hal Linden, Lee Majors, Terry Kaiser, Robert Englund, Lauren Hutton. This is a disaster movie, Mr. Ben Harley. This is the movie where the plane has to go out into space. In order not to crash or to do it, and they can't get back, so they're trying to figure out how to get people back from an airplane that is floating in orbit in space.
Oh my God.
And I watched this movie like in the last year. I remember talking about it in the show, and I remember when I was a kid, I was just blown away by this movie. I'm like, holy shit! Because I always thought about that. Why wouldn't you just fly into space? People are like, we can't get to space. I'm like, well, you can get about 60 yards away. Right? Just go up a little bit more,
Keep gradually going up, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, just go up a little. What about coming down? That fuck coming down. Who cares? But you're talking about going up, So, but anyway. So I was guffawed by this movie when I was a kid. And believe it or not, I'm still kind of guffawed by it. But to see Lee Majors, he keeps his cool in this movie like he always does. So, and Hal Linden floating from an airplane to the space shuttle in a hermetically sealed coffin is a blast just to watch or whatever. And then to find out that there was a hole in the coffin. And when they open up the coffin, they say, "What, you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I almost didn't make it." "Well, how come?" It's like, "Well, there was a leak in it." "Well, what'd you do?" "Did you ever hear the story about the little Dutch boy?" Mr. Ben Harley, if there is a leak in anything I'm in, if I stick my finger into space, I have a feeling it might freeze off. And then my blood might come soaring out of the coffin, crystallized. Anyway, let's not split scientific hairs there. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, don't let science get in the way of a good story, Tim.
Right. So, Starflight 1, great babe up. Greatest movie ever made. All right, moving on, Mr. Ben Harley. You got your pen out? You still got that pen out? That red pen, right? One. Okay. From 2000.
Starflight 1, 83.
There you go. And it's on Prime. This is also on Prime. From 2014, I want you to check out the movie Dark Was the Night.
Dark Was the Night.
Dark Was the Night. Okay. So this one has in it Lucas Haas. I don't know if you remember him or not, but he was...
And it's Night, not K.
Correct, just Night, not with a K, right. This one has Lucas Haas in it, who was kind of a child star, if you remember him.
I might.
Nick Demisi, who was the star of Late Phases, the werewolf movie.
Oh, okay.
The guy who plays the blind guy. And also Kevin Durand is the star of this film, Mr. Ben Harley. Kevin Durand is Harbord the Wanderer in Vikings.
Oh, really?
And he was in The Strain. Okay. So you've seen this guy before. He's a good actor. He's kind of like one of those underappreciated actors. Okay. This is a pretty decent old fashioned creature feature. Let me set this up for you. Okay. So it is filmed in a little bit like movies are filmed today. It's a little like depressing. It's a little, kind of bleak, I guess you could say a little bit. But I'll just set this up. There is a scene where Lucas Haas, who is a new deputy, comes to the sheriff's house, played by Kevin Durant, to get him up in the morning, get to work, and says, "Sheriff, have you been outside?" And he walks outside, and there's these giant, monstrous hoofed footprints going through the snow, walking up to everyone's windows in the town.
Whoa!
So something went through town. That's what it looks like a little bit. But this is a creature feature, believe it or not. Now, it's not the greatest monster or monsters or whatever in this movie, but at least it kind of reminds me of a Jersey Devil movie. I thought this was going to be a Jersey Devil movie up until almost the end. Now, it's just because of the way the legends and everything are told in the movie. Yeah. So if you're interested in a Jersey Devil movie, it's not the Jersey Devil. It's not. Okay. But it's set up just like that. It's set up just like that. Give it a shot. Good. Yeah. Give it a shot. It's not, to be honest with you, the first half of it I thought was much better than the second half, but they don't cheat. Okay. It just kind of, I guess maybe, I don't know if run of the mill is the right word. I didn't really dig the creature or creatures.
We have problems with that, don't we, Tim?
Yeah, but still, I just like the way the movie's made. I just thought it was okay. I mean, especially for 2014. So give it a check. Give it a look-see or whatever. By the end of the movie, I was playing with my phone. So, but it doesn't like get, and it ramps up, believe me. Now, I've had a lot in my mind. So sometimes I might drift off. I can't say for sure, but check it out. I kept thinking about you.
Well, I need something new. I've been searching around a little bit. I've been searching, so I do need a little something new. So.
Right. Well, give this one a shot. It is a new movie, and I did like the setup. It had some creepy things to it. Okay. Let's see. A couple more things, Mr. Ben Harley. From 1985, Angio and I went and watched Demons. Went back and watched Demons. Okay. So had a good time. Good time watching that.
We reviewed that, but it's been many moons. And probably last time I watched it was then. It
was a long time ago. Saw my girlfriend Jaretta in there. So remember, I don't know if you remember her. She was at Cinema Wasteland, and
she was sweet on you.
She was a little bit. There was a couple ladies that showed up and sweet on me, Mr. Ben Harley. I gotta stay away from the show, Not that I'm gonna do anything. I feel bad for the ladies. I mean, you know how it is. I'm not used to this as much as you, but it is what it is. So, but it really had a good time. Really had a good time watching that. So, Demons, which is
Demons. That's a good one.
Well, it is, and I have to apologize. Sometimes I get like Frankenstein monster on this movie. Like when people go, "Hey man, you look like Frankenstein." I'm like, "Well, I don't know what the doctor looked like." I'm a dick that way, right? Well, with Demons, I get that way too because everybody's like, "Demons, it's an Argento movie." No, it's not an Argento movie. It's Lamberto Bava. I'm sorry, Lamberto Bava. Yeah, it's a Lamberto Bava movie. It's not he produced it, but he was doing it, and I think he was making Phenomena, which is also called Creepers, at the same time. I think he was using it to make money. So he was producing it, and he might have been on the set a little bit and stuff, but it was not his movie. It's Lamberto Bava's movie. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
I know I get so many fights about that, Tim. I tell you.
I'm sure you do. On the hockey ring, like when you guys are playing hockey.
Hey, listen here, you jerk. You know.
Some great players about ready to take a shot on Ben, and he looks right at him and goes,
I said, Mario.
"Yeah, Argento did demons." What? No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
guy falls off, falls down the ice. Yeah, and breaks a tooth.
What'd you say to him? You know that movie Demons? Yeah.
Yeah, you psyched him out like in basketball. Like in basketball, you did a psych out with demons.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Hey, we had a real good time watching that. That was one of the first. When Angio and I first started seeing each other, and she kind of started getting forced into these movies and stuff. Believe it or not, the Argento stuff was some of the first things she liked. And I don't really know why exactly. I don't know if it was the colors or the zaniness of them. I'm not sure, but so it's kind of odd though. Those are the ones that she actually kind of gravitated towards. So now, last time Mr. Ben Harley watched a movie that I know you've seen. I saw this one in a theater. Believe it or not. And this has a really neat little tie-in to it, okay?
Okay.
From 1983, I was 10 years old when this came out. From 1983, Twilight Zone the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we went back and watched Twilight Zone the movie. Now, this is the movie that, unfortunately, a lot of stuff happened. Vic Morrow was killed in a helicopter crash in this film.
Believe it or not, I talked about that in the hocky locker room.
Did you psych out people? Vic Morrow's dead.
No,
What?
No, we just talked. We just talked about this a couple weeks ago. That's funny. About Vic Morrow.
Gotcha.
And what happened? Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was. The helicopter crashed, and yes, he was killed. Now, did you know that he always had a premonition he was going to die in a helicopter crash?
I think so. I think it's been a long time since I've even thought of this story, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird things that happen right before it. A lot of people do blame John Landis. He kind of pushed the envelope too far, doing one of those torturous director things, or whatever.
Really?
I know it ended Spielberg and Landis' friendship because Spielberg and Landis were doing this movie basically together. So you have George Miller, who did the Mad Max movies. You have Joe Dante, who I don't tell you who he is. And then you had Spielberg. Spielberg and Landis. And they were all doing this movie together. So, so
it's a good one, though.
It is a good movie, but it's supposed to end with Vic Morrow becoming redeemed. He's supposed to be saving a little Vietnamese kid, and he's redeemed. And that's the scene they were shooting when he got killed. So they just ended it with him getting sent away with the Jewish concentration camp victims. So we did have fun watching it. I always like the one with John Lithgow in it, and I do like the creepy kid one. That's pretty good, but I like the original one with Billy Mooney in it, the black and white one.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because one of my, my favorite Twilight Zone episode is the Captain Kirk one.
Yeah.
On the wing, and Lithgow does a great job of it too.
Well, real quick, the Gremlin's a hell of a lot better in the movie one, though. You have to admit that. I mean, that's
awesome. It's awesome. The other one looks kind of like one of the Gargantuas in the War of the Gargantuas.
Yeah, a little bit. You're right. It
like
does.
that.
Actually, unfortunately, Gargantuas were a little more compelling.
Much more handsome too.
Well, that's true. Yes. There's a hot man on the wing. I can see Harley up there. Yeah. Now, here's what's funny about this. Now, I used to suffer from migraines before I started taking my magnesium supplements. Right, Mr. Ben Harley, bad migraines, man. They were bad stuff. Bad stuff. So
debilitating. Man.
When I left in 1983, my brother Dano took me to go see this movie. So when we left, I'd gotten a migraine by the time we had left the theater. Not good. 10 years old. No. Go home. Lay down in front of the TV, Mr. Ben Harley. Head aching, just sad, just hurting, So I turn on TV and on Superstation TBS, I saw for the very first time Grizzly with a migraine. I watched. Wow. I'll never forget. I had such a horrible migraine. I came back. Did it help with your migraine? No, it didn't. It actually made it look a little more 70s, a little more washed out colors and stuff. But I do remember really enjoying it. I remember thinking, I like this movie. This is my kind of movie. Yeah. So actually,
that's funny though. How you remember that?
Well, I saw Twilight Zone the movie in the theater. Came straight home and saw Grizzly for the first time. So quite a day in this young kid's Because
yeah.
not quite Halloween or the Fun House.
But pretty close. Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, but
Not bad.
that's what I got, Mr. Ben Harley. What you got?
Well, let me see, Timo. Let me dig here in my bag of tricks.
No, watch what you pull out.
Yeah.
Watch
Ooh,
it.
hey,
Yeah.
now. Wait a second. Whoa,
I've seen some of
hey.
your tricks. Yeah.
Ooh, hey, it's getting hot in here. Hold on.
Pull my finger. That's not your finger.
Yeah. I got lots of stuff, kind of, Timo, but nothing too extravagant.
Okay.
Real quick, Timo, not to keep on a downer note, but I would really be a myth or upset if I didn't mention these two things real quick, because two of these guys were really instrumental kind of in my horror type stuff. The gentleman, the Ghoul, who was a horror host out of Detroit, passed away here recently.
I saw it, yeah.
Yeah. Funny guy, great horror host. You know, he influenced many people in the Detroit, Toledo, this whole area,
right,
with horror, you know, the horror scene. But you know, he was from the 70s and stuff. So anyways, at the end of his shows, he used to take an M80 and like drop it into a pumpkin and just like walk off stage and it would blow up. And he would do it all over. You know, he'd be somewhere out at a, car dealership, wherever it was, you know what I mean? So this night I was like, he's not going to do this, is he? And sure enough, at the end of the night, he's like, all right, thanks for coming. And we're at the Knights of Columbus, Timo, right? You know, the Knights of Columbus.
Yeah, KC. Yeah.
There's a lot of old folks too hanging at the Knights of Columbus. So the Ghouls,
if they're not there, they're at the VFW down the road there.
Yeah. So I'll never forget it. The Ghoul says, thank you, good night, and puts an M80 into this pumpkin in the middle of this room and lets it fly. And I'm in the back of the place, and I got hit with the lid of the pumpkin, actually. Like, went up. The lid of the pumpkin went up and busted out some of the ceiling tiles. Wow. And then, we got hit with shrapnel in the back. We were always like kind of like halfway in the back, like wherever. But I was like, oh, that was just awesome. I couldn't believe it. I think he was a little loaded too at the time, but I'll never forget it. But God bless. He was
the Gallagher of horror hosts then, huh?
Yeah, kind of. And he looked really great, but he had a really good saying stuff. You know, he'd like, stay sick, climb walls and do all these things. Just don't get caught, and stuff. He'd say to you. But great stuff. You would have enjoyed him, Timo. This next one, actually, I did do some work for these guys. This one's a little bit closer to home. Okay. This lost a dear friend, Dave Augusti. The other day, he big influence. I worked for Dave for a number of years, so I was close to him. You know how it goes, Timmy. You work with someone day in and day out for years. Yeah. And if you don't strangle them to death, or they don't strangle you,
you get to know whether you want to or not, right?
Right. Yeah. And so I worked with Dave when I was first getting. I was actually hired into the graphics department, but I was thrown into running the screen printing department that I didn't even know how to at the time, but. That really actually was my baptism by fire, which led me to becoming, a business owner and all that. And Dave helped out. Dave was a tough cookie to work for, but Dave was influential because Dave and his brother, and you've heard me talk about Dave's brother was Dr. Shock, who was the horror host here from Toledo. Yeah, Dave and Doug were. Are twins, they weren't identical twins, but those two guys together influenced a lot of stuff in this town musically and also through their stuff with the horror scene. They made a lot of movies and Dave would do Dave was the shrunken head on the show, the X-Ray Chiller Theater, which was Dr. Shock's show. He would show in the late 80s, early 90s here in Toledo. Dave did all like the voices and a lot of the characters on the show. He was the shrunken head. And he was just a great guy and a great ambassador for horror in this town, whether he knew it or not. He influenced a lot of us artists, a lot of musicians too, even just through that show. And I don't think he really realized that. But he also was in a band called the New Tones, which was also, you would have loved them, Timo. They were all British New Wave, Beatles stuff. Oh, he was a big Beatles. The Beatles lost a huge fan when Dave passed away too. They also had a band called the Love Zombies where they used to dress up like zombies and play, but do like love fucking tunes, like, like old bubblegum love tunes that were
to all the girls I've loved before.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah. But a little bit harder edged and stuff, but you would have liked that too. But I have to, throw that out there because Dave was a big influence, in my life too.
Right.
So God bless him, and so it's been a tough week, Tim. I didn't want to bring these up, but I have to.
Oh
be
no,
on our horror show. So,
right. Well,
but,
I was just talking when we were watching one of the Mystery Science Theaters, me and Angie, and I it's not the first time I've said it, and even on the show, to be honest with you. But what really kind of bums me out is, I never had a horror host when I was a kid.
Yeah,
we had the Saturday the Saturday Night Shocker, but it was like a disembodied. There was a guy walking, like maybe he was holding his head or something, like headless, and like a skeleton or something. And a voiceover guy would tell you what the movie was, but it wasn't really a horror host. It was just a voiceover guy, like tonight on Channel 11. It's like one of those guys. But it was like they did have him like tonight on the Saturday Night Shocker. They did that, but there was never a face to it or anything. And I never got one. I told Angie we were watching, I said, Mystery Science Theater is the closest thing I ever had to a horror host. And then I realized it is a horror host. It's just that their shtick doing the riffing during the movie ended up being the main draw, even though the main draw to me at first was the movies they were playing. Because remember when they started playing those movies?
You didn't like it, yeah.
Well, I didn't like it, but it was also hard to find a lot of those movies.
Oh, you can't find those, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And now you can, but you couldn't then. It was very hard. Mm-hmm. And so
you didn't see those movies, buddy. You're right.
Right. And so for me, these were movies I'd heard of, I knew about, but I couldn't see. So I had to watch the Mystery Science Theater to be able to see the damn movies. So no, I did not like Mystery Science Theater at first. I caught on to it later when I started seeing, I don't know, like the really bad Italian like spy movies I didn't care about or something. The first time I saw Mystery Science Theater was The Terror from Beyond Space. Now I like that movie.
Yeah.
So it bothers me. Like they
do too.
they did Grizzly. They riffed Grizzly and I can't watch it.
Yeah, I can't bring myself to yet.
Yeah, I couldn't watch it. I watched like the first 5 minutes and they made fun of Todd A.O., the film process. And I just turned it off and she's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Look, this is a geek thing." But these guys know better than to make fun of Todd A.O. Like they know what that is. These are really smart movie guys.
Yeah,
and stuff. But anyway, so I digress. But I was it was like 2 nights ago. I was just talking about how these are my horror hosts.
Yeah,
this is what I had, and I wasn't even. And I wasn't a kid. That's what bums me out. When I was a kid, this is when I was 20 or something. I started watching Mystery Science. But it was like, as a kid though, I didn't have anything, and it really makes me sad. And you jerks up in Ohio had a ton of them. Yeah. You guys even had I know you did. The Ghoul. Well, you guys even had Elvira syndicated up there. We didn't even have that. I know you did because I used to spend time with my cousin who lived in Cleveland.
Yeah. Yep.
So at least in the region you had Elvira. We didn't even have Elvira. It was
weird because it was, and we were blessed, really, and I mean this with Sir Graves Ghastly. Now, like he wasn't the first by any means, but he's actually up there pretty high in the pantheon of horror hosts because he really was because he was so far back and stuff. But anyways, we were blessed with him, and then you had they had the Ghoul and the Ghoulardi. But I remember when you got a horror host over there creaking through the door.
Yeah, it's my damn chair. I got a haunted rolling desk chair. Yeah. So I got a bad back. I got an achy back.
The Ghoul's over there.
Yeah. So every time I take pressure off, it's like Yeah. My bad.
But I remember, I feel you, Tim. I remember when the day that I came home to watch Sir Graves Ghastly, it just went right to creature feature. That was it. And it was like you're saying, it would show like Godzilla, like clips of Godzilla films and other monster films, and it would say creature feature, and then they would show a film. And I was like, wait, what? Huh? What just happened? And I like creatures and I like creature features, but where's my Sir Graves Ghastly?
Right.
And he was just gone. So it's hard to find his stuff, but you can find some of these old things on YouTube. But it wasn't until Dr. Shock and Doug and Dave and them came and were doing their stuff at late night TV, here in town again, that it came back, and they were doing some cool things and stuff. But yeah, I'll never forget those guys. They did a lot of nice stuff for me. Dave, him and Doug both came to see me do the wrestling show on St. Patty's Day, which for me means the world to me. And I talked to him afterwards, told him how much it, how happy I was that they came. But to know that he came out, as sick as he was and stuff too, and still came out and saw it and meant the world to me. And those guys, their legacy will live long after, they're gone here in this town, and through others like me and our stuff. And Dave taught me be proficient, stand behind your work and stuff like that. And I'll never forget that. It's helped me in my life, so it's tough.
Right.
But, God bless those guys. And the horror world is a much better place because of them.
You should have them come drop by on a Tuesday morning, Mr. Bud Harley, and sit in and talk to us for a little bit.
Oh, Doug would love that.
Yeah.
Doug would love that.
It wouldn't bother me to stick a microphone there, and there you go. And
that guy, like I said, they did some good stuff together, those two. And I feel bad for him losing his brother. They really, we'll persevere in town here, though. We will keep it going. We'll, their legacy continues on.
Sure.
Goofballs like myself and you, Timo, we keep it going. And we're horror hosts, right? So there we go. Yeah, Timo and Harley, damn it.
Right.
All right, Timo, I'm going to leave it at that since we're a little long. I have a couple, well, actually, one thing real fast. I said something earlier on the show. There's a new trailer for the Star Wars movie coming out.
Oh, okay.
Looks like it might be okay. It's called The Rise of Skywalker, I think.
Okay.
But at the end, me visually, you got to stun me. At the end, they did show. It looks like the part of the Death Star.
Yeah. Yep.
But right at the end, then it goes kind of black, and then you hear. I don't know. You do it better than I do, but you hear the old Emperor do a little laugh. Yeah. Yes. So that gave me yeah, exactly.
Young Skywalker.
Yeah. So it made me, that gave me some chills because, it's my dude, man. Him and Grand Moff Tarkin and Vader. Those are Boba Fett. Come on, man. Those are my guys.
Right.
Man. On the dark side stuff, but like those, you got to have the Emperor. And I was saying to her, I still think a lot of people dog on Return of the Jedi because of the Ewoks, but they don't think about the other stuff with Vader and Skywalker. Well, they're both Skywalker. Yeah. Young Skywalker.
Young Skywalker.
And, and the Emperor. That holds that movie together. Emperor and Vader and Skywalker, Luke. That's the best stuff, I think, in that movie almost. The throne room when they're up there. Oh, it's the best. So
the new trailer. What do you? Yep. You're into it. You're gonna like it, or
I'm not sure yet. I'm holding out judgment because that second one, that last one, I didn't really enjoy too much. And I've had opportunities to go back and watch it again, and I haven't watched but a quarter of it, and I'm done.
Right.
I like that first one. I doubt the first one. I thought it was really good, and I think Rogue One's awesome. Solo's not bad. Rogue One was kick ass, man. Kick ass.
Yeah, I like that one.
So we'll see. We'll see how this one goes. If the Emperor shows up and Ghidra shows up and Godzilla, like it's gonna happen, I'm gonna be good for the summer. I got my little Ghidra action figure. I'm excited. We'll see, buddy. Yeah.
So you're gonna go and listen to the 19 different pronunciations of Ghidra, Ghidorah.
Yeah, Ghidorah.
Gydra.
Yeah, Gydra.
Ghidorah.
You know what I tell them? You know what I tell them, Timo? I say Monster Zero.
Yeah. There we go. There you go. So let's get to our official little films for this week, Mr. Ben Harley.
All right, Timo, lay it on me.
Let's see. Let's start off with in chronological order again. In chronological order. Here we go. From 1963. Mr. Ben Harley. 1963, we have the movie Dementia 13. Yeah. Now, here's a little tidbit of info. Tidbit of info. Fragile Porcelain Mice are with my brother. Now, without Scott singing,
this is prequel.
This is a prequel. That's right. Our band was Dementia 13. That was the name of the band that Fragile Porcelain Mice was. Before my brother went off and got married and had families and things, and Scott Randall joined the band. So, yep.
Oh, yeah. Now, is it directly from this film then, Timo?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one of the first movies I had on VHS, believe it or not. So one of the first dozen or so, maybe, that I had. So, yes, this was Francis Ford Coppola's first official film. It was officially his first. Besides student films, I think he might have done a little porn. Porn in 1963 was like, women in beehive hair.
Boob slip.
And the boobs are coming out. Yeah, and stuff. So, but anyway. Let me get out Movie Guy and get you a short storyline here for Dementia 13.
I got Dementia.
Did you? All right.
I was focusing hard.
All right. So we got because Movie Guy. Here we go.
Yeah.
Right. A scheming widow hatches a daring plan to get her hands on her late husband's inheritance. Unbeknownst to her that she is targeted by an axe-wielding murderer who lurks within the family's estate. Okay. So this movie confused you. Confused you, did it?
A little. It might have been just a little artsy, and now I know because Francis Ford Coppola is artsy and weirdy. And
it's gothic, is what it is.
Very gothic, yeah.
So there's a lot. There's old money in this family, in the Halloran family. There's old money, okay? And basically I don't want to say celebrate, but they get together and have a ritual every year because the one daughter died. Yeah. She drowned. Okay.
Yeah. And she was like, what, 10, 11 years old?
Yeah, she's a little girl. Yeah, she was a girl still. Kathleen is the name of the girl that drowned. Yeah. The movie starts off, it's a great beginning. Movie starts off with the
rowboat incident.
Yeah, the rowboat. There's a rowboat. It's a famous scene, and you kind of get set up for a lot of the conniving and backstabbing that goes on in this movie, because you get right away.
There's a lot.
Yes, and you get right away that this one gal that she wants the money, she wants inheritance, so she's going to stay married, even though it's an unhappy marriage, just to get the money, if you will. So, and she is married to a Halloran, so she is married to the actual family. So he has a heart attack in the beginning. Yeah. Basically. And she shoves him off the boat. Because if he dies. Not trying to give him
some mouth to mouth, does she?
Right. Because if he dies or something like that, she don't get the money.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So she tries to hide him down the pond, the same pond that Kathleen drowned in. So you can start seeing the spookiness going right there. Yes.
Yeah.
And then what happens is just basically everybody's getting together. Now, normally this would be like a reading of the will type of movie. Or story or something like that. But I think what might have been throwing you off here is that it was an odd celebration of a little girl's death, basically, or commemorance.
The thing is, too, that a lot of the people, I had my band of brothers, a lot of people in this looked alike. And I was like, I kept getting confused by some of them. Mm-hmm. I'm like, wait a second. No, that's not her.
Right.
Oh, crap. That's the sister the other brother's wife or something. I'm like, oh, God, I can't.
Sure. It gets a little, well, you don't know who's who. You don't know who to trust. You don't know anything, and you're still trying to get to know them. Look, this is also a very short film. It's an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah. Roger Corman let Coppola do this movie because they were making a film called The Young Racers, and it went under budget. So Corman took the extra funds and took some of the actors and everything. And told Love that guy. Coppola. So Coppola wrote it up, and they made it. And I don't know, like just probably a week or something. They shot it, and so it was a very low budget film. However, it is also a very gruesome and brutal and bloody film and sleazy film for 1963. Sleazy in a icky kind of kind of way. To me, like everything, all the conniving and the family, the backstabbing and stuff is pretty interesting. It kind of keeps you going through the movie. And it might have been confusing, Mr. Ben Harley. You might have got off track one time and just been off track and lost what was going on. But Patrick McGee, the family's doctor, who plays his name is Justin Caleb. Man, this guy is a good dick. And he's like a proto-Loomis type of character. The one thing that I always remember Patrick in is actually this movie, but the other one, there's two other ones. One is Clockwork Orange. He plays the guy who gets crippled.
Oh yeah,
the big scene Singing in the Rain. Yeah, he's the guy who gets crippled. So that's him. That's the same guy. This movie, I also always remembered him from, like I said, from Clockwork Orange. So I think he is really what pulls me in this movie. Because he's bizarre. He's bizarre to begin with. Like Patrick McGee is very bizarre to begin with. I would not want to have a cocktail with that guy, I don't think. Love watching him in movies, though, because he freaks me out. Totally freaks me out,
This is one of those films I got to watch more than once. It's just it's
watchable, though. It's watchable more than once.
Yeah. The girl that was the Jerky McJerkington, I liked her character. I mean, she's smarmy and stuff, but she.
But you follow her through the story, so you're actually following a villain.
Yeah,
through the story,
and
which is interesting.
Right, and she's trying all sorts of things, like even with the tricking the mom a little bit, and then the baby dolls, like she goes down to try, put the baby dolls in the pond.
Right, she's a conniving brown noser kind of in a way.
Now, Tim, this is how goofy though I am, and I was perceptive on this. She took her clothes off, well, not all, to get into the pond.
You notice that?
Yeah, and she had a white white brassiere
Uh-huh.
on and white undergarments. And when she got into the water, she had a black pair of underpants on. I was like, wait a second. Does that happen to I don't know. I'm like, Ben, for real? I'm like, for real? I'm like, oh, God. Okay. Anyway, so I digress.
Could have been a see-through thing. You know what I mean? They could have been film. I mean, film costs a lot of money, Mr. Ben Harley.
Yeah.
It costs a lot of money. So they could have went, I can see too much and we're going to get censored.
That's what exactly. Exactly. So like, because she's so conniving in it in a kind of a good way, not a good way, but I enjoy
interesting way
watching her character. And then, but yeah, she comes up out of the pond and to an axe, to an old Lizzie Borden type treatment. And I was kind of bummed about that. I was like, I liked her character. Jackass.
It's kind of a psycho moment.
Yes,
in a way.
It was, and that at that point for me, I was like, oh, okay, now we're going this route. Like it wasn't about, I mean, she's smarmy enough, she pushed her husband overboard and all that and skied into the sea. But yet, no, this is an axe to that, that's a little different, So that kind of intrigued me a little. Not that axe murderers intrigue me, Tim. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? My pulse got raised a little. But I was still a little confused. But I was like, I kind of saw it coming. I was like, woo. But I was bummed. I liked her character. So from that point on, that's why my confusion, because then I was like, I don't know who's who now. A little bit. You know what I mean? So, and
it was trying to throw you off. I think that's what it was trying to do. It was trying to throw you off. And then it also doesn't help you much.
Did a good job.
Well, and you don't really know is this a supernatural movie? Is this not? And it really plays and it dances around with that throughout the film. Yeah, really, in a way. So you don't know whether this is simply a ghost movie or is it a murder movie or what it, But I'll tell you right now, definitely was a psycho influenced film. But this is a proto slasher giallo.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is. I mean, because
sure.
and I named a band after this movie. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was me coming up with that name. Of course. I mean, who else is going to be? My brother wasn't exactly a big fan of old black and white axe murder movies, So I was actually a little taken back by how brutal it was watching it this time. I know this movie like the back of my hand. Okay. Actually, both movies, both official films, I know like the back of my hand. But I was really taken back. Maybe just being more of an adult now.
Sure.
And going and watching a lot of films from this era with a different eye as an adult, because I enjoy a lot of these older black and white movies much more now as an adult. I liked them when I was a kid, but I think they were, to me, I was watching it because there was nothing else horror to watch except the old black and white movies. I wanted to watch the new things. I was a kid. I wanted to see The Thing. I wanted to see the new, I don't know, Return of the Living Dead. I wanted to see Wolfen. I wanted to see the new stuff, but we couldn't. So you watched, the Mummy movies and stuff. Well, I was just really blown away by what I noticed now, how brutal it was. I mean, and I thought, remember we did The Giant from the Unknown, and there was a couple of strung up bloody corpses in that movie too. Yeah. But this took that to a whole nother level. Nother level. I mean, talk about gore and violence, and it's brief when it happens, but boy, does it stick out.
Yeah, I really need to go back and kind of watch it again, just to kind of, but that's okay because I want to. This is one that I kind of enjoyed enough. Who was the little character, Timo, the guy that was like would run around like the
like the caretaker guy?
Yeah. Was he the caretaker? I didn't know if he was like just some guy.
He's the groundskeeper, caretaker guy. Okay. Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah.
I liked his.
He's pretty good.
Kind of yeah. So, but I mean, there was enough in it that kept me interested. I just, these ones, me, Timo. The wordy ones are the hard ones for me. I got to go back and kind of,
Well, let me ask you: did you go into it expecting something more straightforward, and then kind of take you by surprise? By the time you figured out what was going on, you had gotten lost in it. Yeah.
A little bit. I was thinking. So it was a little. Me, Timo. It's a little slow for me, and then like I said, but once after that girl got killed, I kind of didn't know where to go with it.
You know, to focus, who to follow.
Yeah. Right.
That's kind of the trick of the movie, I think, in a way too. Now it's handled by a young Coppola. Very young Coppola. So I mean, it is kind of cinematic little trick, a little sleight of hand that he does there with you. And like, not unlike Psycho, where they kind of do the same thing. Well, who do you follow? You end up following Norman Bates more than anybody. And so, but you're right. You don't even have a Norman Bates to grab onto this movie. I think what happens is it kind of shifts over to Patrick McGee, the doctor, the family doctor, who you start kind of going around, just trying to figure it out. And for the longest time, it's hard to think that, I mean, he's a total red herring, but for the longest time, it's hard to think he's not part of it or the whole deal. Yeah. He's manipulating the whole family. And I think another sleight of hand is the fact that's got nothing to do with it. You know, he's actually pretty smart. You know, he knows what's going on here. It does take him a couple minutes to have his epiphany moments. Like the fishy in the brook. It's like, I think that would have weirded me out, right? When the kid said, the guy said it or whatever. But so, yes, this is a gothic murder mystery with supernatural overtones to it, to be honest with you. The little supernatural overtones are creepy as shit. And that pond, which was probably Roger Corman's swimming pool, you know, when they were filming it. But that pond was good. Those moments where she was like swimming down. It was a character in this. Yeah. Oh, it was a character. You're right. And there was always something creepy down the pond, on the bottom of the pond. I mean, if she's swimming down the pond, that's a moment where people back in 1963 were closing their eyes. Yeah. Like, don't go down there. Don't go down. Yeah. And stuff. But, you know, they did remake this, believe it or not, in the last couple of years. It was remade. Oh, did they? And the remake is okay. It's got the story is similar to it. Some of the gender roles are reversed. So there is a Billy in this movie, in the new movie, but it's a gal. It's a lady. Okay. So it's like kind of a gender reversal type of film. It wasn't that bad. It was okay. I found it to be a little unnecessary, but it was all right. It wasn't too bad. If you see it, it's worth just taking a look for. But as far as this one, you know, this one is to me, it's a watershed movie, a bit of a groundbreaking movie. It's not that you sit there and dazzle at its technical expertise. You dazzle at it pushing buttons and pushing the envelope. Right. And it really shows you what's coming down the pike in films. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm glad you mentioned something, because I don't know enough about Francis Ford Coppola's early stuff. I just don't. I really don't, and I don't know much. So it's interesting to see it a little bit more through your perspective too, I guess, because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure about this movie. I mean, for me, it kind of reminded me of some of the ones that we do, kind of like not so much of a Dark Shadows, but like a Dark Shadows on steroids. As far as what happens is the amped up, death factor, but the rest of it, like, it just was kind of like a soap opera-y kind of, but I can tell it's artsy though. It's artsy, like, but in a minimal sense. Does that make sense to you? Like, to me, it's very minimal, but you could tell it's, I don't know. This is one of those movies to me that has a feel to it, more to me than, I guess, it's atmospheric. It's got a real, it's got a real, like, the black and white photography is perfect for it. The setting is perfect for it, like the creepy castle type of thing. And that's interesting too, because something that me and Angie were talking about watching this is that it's interesting how usually in these movies, the house plays a bigger role. Yeah. And it's not really the house as much as the pond in this one, but the house itself could have, because it's a big spooky mansion castle type place. Oh, for sure. Yeah. There's not a lot of likable characters in this. No. And that's the thing. You don't know who to follow because you don't really like anybody. I mean, there is the one, what is it? The one wife to the one, the kind of like the oldest brother or the older brother that's there, and his wife, who that's confusing too, because there's two blonde wives. That's what I mean. And they look similar to each other. They do look like each other a little bit. So you're right. That's why I was like, oh no. Yeah. It is a Band of Brothers kind of thing with pretty clean blondes instead of dirty dudes. Yeah. Amazingly enough. But yeah, so I could see that too. And you kind of get, I think the confusion can kind of lie in which lady are we talking about here? And the only person who's really you like a whole lot is the wife, but they don't really do anything with her. They just kind of have her there more as like a window dressing or something. It's like, it's just doesn't really, you don't follow her. You don't really care that much about her. You kind of just care about the outcome more than anything, Yeah. Which is sleight of hand in its own right, but it's a very curious, interesting movie, Mr. Ben Harley. It is vicious. It's a vicious film. Yeah. and I kind of get exhilarated by how vicious it is a little bit. I'm just being honest about that. I just think it's cool. It's just a neat, dark movie, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It does have its moments, but it's a mystery.
Right.
I mean, in a mystery, you're trying to figure out who people are. Now, if you go into this,
they did a good job.
I guarantee you're going to like it more when you watch it again.
Yeah.
Because you know what you're getting into.
Exactly.
And if you don't know what you're getting into with this movie, it will throw you off. It can throw you off. But it's certainly a classic. I know you've heard of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's got iconic moments, especially the beginning scene. Mm-hmm. Where the guy gets pushed into the pond, and then the axe murder, the main axe murder scene, is also an iconic. Where we talk about the girl comes out of the pond right into the arms of an axe murderer, basically. The other part that I kind of like, I don't want to say forget, but it slips my mind. It's really good is when the mom is getting menaced by the axe murderer, he's coming through like wood walls and stuff. I mean, that is vicious too. I mean, that's like the Howling kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It really is.
Right.
You know, it kind of reminded me of the Howling in TC's Cabin. It reminded me of that a little bit. But for me, someone who's seen this movie, I don't know how many times I've seen it, but lots of times. It's still a big, great ape up for me. It's a big one. I mean, I really do like this movie. It's way better than it needs to be. I mean, for like I said, a movie shot on like a week or 9 days or something.
Yeah, that's
some
impressive
pittance off of another film that no one remembers.
Right.
Which is blows my mind. Blows my mind. You know, it's probably made for $50,000 or something. You know what I mean? It was like made for nothing. And here we go. We got it. You know, I mean, so, but big grape ape up for me. I enjoyed it. I love Patrick McGee in this as the whack job doctor. I love it. Love him in this, you know, and just the end of it with him coming to realize what's going on and seeing him lose his skull. Over it, just kind of go internally mad, you know, realizing that he'd been following this family a long time and he didn't see the forest through the trees. Mm-hmm. You know, so anyway, big grape ape up for me.
Big grape ape up?
Yeah, for me.
Boy. Well, you named a band after it.
I sure did. Yeah. Sure did. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, right. I'm just gonna give it a mild grape ape up, only for the fact that I need to go back and watch it. And
I don't blame it.
The other part of the grape ape up is going to be poured on my head. So because I need to, but I just need to go back. This one, you know, and I have a hard time sometimes with the mysteries and ones, but you know, there's other films ones that I know like the back of my hand. The first time I saw it, I'd be like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. I got to go back, you know. I'm a second guy.
Right. No, and this one, I understand that. I can see that. You have to go back. It's not spoon feeding you what's going on. I mean, you know, it's there. I promise you it's all there. Yeah, but you do have to kind of watch it. You really have to watch it and listen to it and stuff. And even some of the dialogue is really creepy as hell. You just have to be really focused in on it. And then that helps with the atmosphere of the movie too. So I bet when you go back to watch it, you'll enjoy it more. I really do.
Yeah, I'm sure. I do too.
So. All right. Well, let's move on, Mr. Ben Harley, to a movie that's a little bit more straightforward. A little bit more straightforward. From 1985, which is right there at the end of that golden era to me. I mean, that's basically at the end. You know, I mean, it's technically a little past the end for me, but there was still movies coming out like this and stuff that were okay. 1985, Fright Night.
85.
Fright Night. Yes. Let's see here. Let me get out Movie Guy and get you a short storyline here for Fright Night. Here we go. A teenager discovers that the newcomer in his neighborhood is a vampire. So he turns to an actor in a television horror show for help dealing with the undead. Okay.
All right.
Right. Yeah. So William Ragsdale as Charlie Brewster.
Charlie.
We have basically a Rear Window situation going on here.
Yeah.
This is a vampire Rear Window movie. You see next door, Chris Sarandon, who plays Jerry Dandridge, the vampire, moves in and starts, killing people because he's a vampire. And Charlie starts seeing it through his window. And then, of course, Jerry Dandridge knows he's onto him.
Yeah.
So we have Rear Window, basically.
We have Rear Window.
Yeah. So, and I think people have seen this film up until now. Even people who might not be the biggest horror fans in our listening audience. Maybe there's 2 of you out of 4. So you might have still seen this. Directed by Tom Holland, who directed Thinner. Actually, believe it or not, directed Child's Play, the original Child's Play.
Oh, really?
Also directed Fatal Beauty with Whoopi Goldberg in it.
Whoopi Goldberg. Huh?
He's also a writer too, Mr. Ben Harley. He wrote Class of 1984, and he wrote Psycho 2.
Really?
Yes.
I like Psycho 2.
Tom Holland. And Tom Holland's also even an actor.
And
he was in, I do believe it was Hatchet 2, maybe. He's in a couple of the Hatchet movies and stuff.
Oh, okay.
He runs around to conventions now. You see him around, Tom Holland. He's from what I can tell, I don't think I've ever talked to him. From what I can see, he looks like one of those good guys. The guy who enjoys being there. He wants people telling me they love his movies. It makes him feel good. Right. Why wouldn't it,
Exactly.
Let's see.
What's wrong with you people?
Right. So, like I said, we had Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandridge, William Ragsdale as Charlie Brewster, Amanda Bierce from Married with Children, who was 27
Marcy?
at the time. Yes.
Darcy, yeah. Oh my God, I could not get over that. I couldn't get over the fact how old she was.
She was. I remember when I saw I was like 12 this kind of. So let's say I was 13 or 14 when I saw it the first time, and I remember watching this thinking you could have found I don't mean any. This is the kid in me. Okay, the snot-nosed 1985 punk kid in me thinking you could have found someone attractive. Now, when she vampires out, she's hot as all get out.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Hot as all get out. But, no. And she was 27, and I was closer to what the age she was supposed to be. Let's see. We have Stephen Jeffries as Evil. He was a standout in this movie. This is a very good role for him in this movie. Jonathan Stark is Chris Sarandon's buddy. Buddy. Let's call him a buddy. How about that? Let's call him buddy. It's his friend. You might remember Jonathan. I do believe he was in was it House 2?
Yeah,
I think he was in House 2. Yeah. Let's see here, and then of course, Roddy McDowall as Mr. Peter Vincent, who neither one of us probably has to tell the other one who really is holding this movie together. Who's gluing it together is Peter Vincent. Now, Ben Harley, I know both of us have seen this movie.
Yes.
Probably ad nauseum, a bunch of times. So what'd you think going back?
Well, Timo, let's see here. Do I want to break the bad news now or wait till later?
Really?
Yes, Ben Harley has never been much of a Fright Night fan.
Really? Interesting.
And that's weird. And it's weird because, me and vampires, and this is before I didn't like vampires. Now, I can't diss this movie, though. It's a good movie. It just was never really my cup of tea for some odd reason. And I like, what's his name? He went on to do Herman's Head. And,
William Ragsdale?
Yeah, and Chris Sarandon's good, too.
Yeah.
Now, I liked going back, and it's been a while since I've watched this movie, and there's a reason because I just never really gravitated towards it.
Right.
And I've seen it a lot, but it's been a long, long time, probably 20 years since I've seen this movie, at least. I don't think I've ever even seen it. It probably was on VHS last time I seen it, but I thought the transfer looked great, man. It looks awesome, and I think I kind of enjoyed it more this time than I did when I was younger. I still think though it's a little long. I still think this is about 20 minutes too long. And it's only because we'll get to that later. But I will say, and I'm not trying to be a wet blanket at all at the start of this, but I will say that I think I enjoyed it more this time. But also, I thought the effects were a little better than I remember, too. For the most part, I thought they were a little bit better. And there were some things that I forgot about that I enjoyed. So I'm kind of glad I did watch it, and we've reviewed this. But I don't know what it is, Tim. I just think back then, the kid that plays Evil, I didn't like him.
Stephen Jeffries, not into him.
No, and there's, what's so funny, too? There's some iconic photos or iconic scenes from this movie that one being him with, when he got Roddy McDowall did the thing to him, and then there's the one of her as the vampire at the end. And they're iconic stuff that you've seen over the years, but for some reason, I don't know, Timo, this one never really tickled my fancy. And I dig the story. I think, I love Roddy McDowall in it. I love his character. I think it's awesome. Through the whole thing. I just think for me, maybe when I was younger, it was too long. And by the time I really got interested into it, I just was, whatever. But going back and watching it now, I still think it's too long. But Roddy McDowall does help hold this film together. You're right, completely.
Yeah.
Completely. And I love his character in this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's awesome. I still think it's awesome. And he's he's a horror host, for crying out loud.
Right,
and the
right.
horror host stuff that they're showing in the movies is just awesome too,
right,
you know.
Right.
Like, but he's not a vampire killer.
Well, that's what I missed too. Like, you gotta remember when I saw this movie, we didn't have a horror host. So to me, I thought that I didn't know they really existed. Mm-hmm. Remember, this was before the internet and stuff, folks. I mean, we didn't.
And you were a little kid.
I wasn't real little. I was probably like 14 or 15. But still, at the same time, I thought that I knew they existed, but not how many. I didn't know you guys had them in Detroit and Toledo and stuff. I mean, I just didn't know. And so that was very cool. But I think Roddy McDowall actually, he steals the show as far as I'm concerned. And he's actually an insurance policy for the film that it holds up in years to come. Yeah. I think because of the difference, there's like two generations of people going on here. There's the older generation with Roddy McDowall, and I'd even say Chris Sarandon in that a little bit, you know. And then you have, he is. He's and then really you have the kids in it. We were basically the same age, you know. Like in real life, they're basically the same age, you know. But I think William Ragsdale was 24 when this was made, and Amanda Bierce was 27. I know. So it's like
Evil might have been closer to the.
Evil might have been a little bit younger. Yeah. Stephen Jeffries might have been, and he's a nice guy. We've met him at shows. I have been a few times and stuff. So, and Peter Vincent actually is a play off of Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. Yeah. So that's a couple of things that are kind of, actually Peter Cushing's way more dear to my heart, but Vincent Price is a local boy, so we like him.
We love him.
Yes. And actually Vincent Price was it was written for him, but he was.
Oh, wouldn't that have been good?
It would have been good, but he was, apparently his health was not. I mean, Roddy McDowall was only in his like late 50s when they did this. So that was like kind of like older guy makeup on him and stuff. I just think that it was too demanding for someone like Vincent Price was just not like, let's think about Edward Scissorhands. Do you think that guy, that Vincent Price could handle that role? No, of course not. You know. Also, I think Tom Holland said that when he thought about it, Vincent Price's stature wouldn't work with Roddy McDowall's character.
Sure.
Because Roddy McDowall's character was kind of a washed up guy who never really went anywhere. And Vincent Price it didn't work. It wouldn't work, for him or something. But that being said, that's really interesting to me, Mr. Ben Harley, because I think that this is one of the few vampire movies I kind of thought was kind of fun. One thing is it was the first movie to really use extensive effects for vampires.
Yeah. And there's a lot in there. There
is. And the vampires turning into creatures and monsters and things like that. I actually got into this because it was more of a monster movie than it was the romantic blood. Exactly. You know? Now, here's the thing. I hate basically the part where evil gets turned and then in through the dance club scene where Amanda gets I hate that. I hate that 10-minute period of this movie.
Yeah, it's a little long.
It's just like, and I just think it shows its age way too much. It wears its ear in its sleeve. I don't want to see a vampire in like a sweater and khakis dancing with a girl in a club. I just don't. It's what I hate about vampires, basically. The other thing that's really odd about this movie is it's pretty ambiguous what Jonathan Stark is in this movie. Yeah. Is he a vampire? Is he a zombie? I don't even understand what he's supposed to be. I don't get that. I don't really understand.
No, they never really explained that.
Right.
And I liked his character.
I did too.
His character was pretty good.
He's kind of smarmy. He's a good smarmy kind of jackass or whatever. But I am just surprised you didn't like it. I mean, especially when it came out, I'm a little surprised. You know, like, because to me, I think this and Lost Boys, I guess, would be two movies that came out around the same era that I think.
I prefer that over this.
Really? One. See, I prefer this a little bit because it's more of a. But that movie also had effects. It also had like some creature effects and things which are cool. This one, I think, was a little bit more universal horror movie kind of thing. That one was a little more.
Yeah, your whole Rear Window thing, though. That's. Yeah, I like that.
Right. So, but I'm just really fascinated.
Yeah, and it's weird because there's so many people that like it. I'm just like, but I'm going to shock you, Timo, when we give our ratings. So I'm
all right. Well, here's something pretty funny, Mr. Ben Harley. I just wanted to mention this. So we watched this last night. I've seen this movie. We watched Dementia 13 like almost the night after we did our last show.
Yeah.
I've seen both these movies dozens of times. Didn't matter. And then Fright Night, to your credit, I really didn't want to watch it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it so many times, and to your credit, it's not one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's a little drawn out. You're right. It does wear it wears out. It is about 10 minutes too long. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So we watched it last night. The second I turn it off, okay, Twilight Zone pops up on the TV. The second I turn this movie off, Harley, not like 10 minutes later, the second I turn it off, flip it over the TV, Roddy McDowell is walking on my TV in black and white on the Twilight Zone.
See? Not nice, Timo.
That point, I looked at Angie, I said, look, it's Roddy McDowell. She didn't even recognize him. I was like, it's Roddy McDowell. She's like, oh my God. I was like, yep, see, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, but something's going on somewhere dealing with something. And it's causing things to double up on me. I don't know what it is, So I'm not trying to be vague, but I'm just saying, But anyway, so that was really weird.
That is funny though.
I'm gonna give this movie I'm gonna give it a normal great bait because I don't hate it. It's definitely a better vampire movie. It's not overly romantic with the vampire stuff. It's got a little bit of a John Hughes movie feel to it with the high school and stuff. I don't identify with it as much as I used to when I was a kid. But when this movie came out, it was made for me. It was made for me and you. I mean, it was made for us to identify with. So I lost that part of it. But what I gained is the appreciation for the straight horror film and holding the camera still and the practical effects. I really wish that
storytelling.
And I really wish. The only thing is, I wish Stephen Jeffries' werewolf would have been the werewolf, because he turns into a wolf like vampires are supposed to. But then, when he gets killed and he's turning back to his human form, he turns into a werewolf, and the werewolf is actually pretty cool. I wish he would have been that werewolf.
That was the one part for me. I was like, wrap it up, guys. That scene went on for so long. I'm like, those were the parts that were painful for me. I'm like, you're dragging it too long. Mm-hmm. But you're right, because he looked cool. It was like, wow. And that was an intense scene. But I'm like, wrap it up, man. It's way too long. Way too long. But
it's an hour and 45 minutes. I could have cut 10 minutes out of it. I mean, it really could have. Yeah, I think so.
And that would have been one of the parts. Not the whole scene, but just there's a lot of that.
Yeah, just trim it. It needs everything that's there. I could do without the dance club. Completely do without the dance club. Like, he could have gotten her walking out of Charlie's house. He lived next door. You don't have to go across town to kidnap his girlfriend. Next door. Right? I mean,
he's sneaky.
Yeah, this could have been a play and it would have been fine. You didn't even need a different here's something that's very interesting to you too. The moment that Charlie meets Peter Vincent, that shot was shot at the same place that the opening of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers, that little area scene right there, that was shot in the same spot.
Oh, that's cool.
Little tidbit there. So anyway, I'm going to give it a normal great bait up. I think that really Roddy McDowell is going to hold this movie together, pretty much forever. Not my favorite movie, but one of the better vampire movies out there, in my opinion. Yeah. And it's holding up okay. It's holding up okay. So what do you think? Yeah. I'm sitting down.
Timo, I'm not pooping on it, and I would have probably back in the day. Man, I wouldn't have pooped on it. But I'm going to give it. Now, I'm going to give it a mild grape ape up.
Okay.
But a little bit better one. Now, if it was 10 minutes or 15 minutes shorter, I'd give it a regular nice grape ape up. But I have to trim it down since they didn't trim it down. So
I got you.
Just a mild grape ape up, because I did enjoy it more than I thought going into it. And it is a better movie than I remember. Much better movie than I remember. And I always thought it was decent. I just never, it just wasn't my thing, it just wasn't. And
I think partially maybe it's just as good as it was.
Yeah.
It's just that movies have gotten a lot shittier.
Yeah, that's true too.
So it could be you're just I mean, I think I don't know if that's it for me, because I did like this movie when I saw it.
Yeah.
So we got let's see, regular Great Bay Pup and a mild Great Bay Pup, which is actually more than you thought you do.
Yeah.
For Fright Night from 1985.
I was thinking about pooping on it.
I'm surprised with knowing us and everything that one of us didn't jump all over the rafters on this one.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised at that. I mean, even though I'm one of us, I'm surprised one of us didn't.
One of us.
Just given the year and given everything that it is and stuff. So, but anyway. And then Dementia 13.
I'm going to give a Great Bay Pup
for
a scene, the window scene there. With the binocular window scene.
Oh,
I'll give that a Great Bay Pup. How about that one?
The standard standalone boob shot that could be edited out for television. Easily. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So, and then let's see, for Dementia 13, I'm giving it a big Great Bay Pup. You're giving it a mild one, but you're willing to go back and warm up that brew for you there. So
yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go. So there you have it. So Fright Night Dementia 13. Mr. Ben Harley, next week, don't know exactly what we're doing, but we will report back for Angio's health, which probably won't be much. There won't be much to report back because this will be right before her surgery. So I will report
thoughts and prayers, right, Timo? Thoughts and prayers for, well wishes from everyone. If
I appreciate that.
Are very welcomed. And yes, right?
Yes, we would appreciate all the thoughts and prayers. And
I'm only one guy. I'm working hard.
I got you. We got some people on it. Got some people on it too that's helping. Everybody's pitching in to help. So we will. I'll probably get back to more of that probably in about 3 weeks' time since I hear this. Given what we have to do on the show, in order to make it happen for everybody. So next couple of weeks probably do a one movie for official films. Maybe do a little bit shorter shows. We say that
we'll
and end up being
movie.
long.
How about that?
No, let's not do a long. We'll talk about it for a long time. How about we do that? So, but until next week, Mr. Ben Harley, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.